Shocking case of molestation from Meerut in western Uttar Pradesh, where a girl was thrashed and dragged around for resisting rape. And these are those shocking pictures on your television screen. They may shock you. These are a group of men dragging a young woman around, no fear of law. The young woman, they first tried to rape her. She resisted. They beat her black and blue with sticks. She was stripped and dragged around that building. Some of the women's friends, they tried to stop them. They beat them up. They captured the entire episode then on their mobile phone cameras. The police were brought in. 7 people have now been arrested. Action is being taken against the policemen of this area who initially refused to act against the accused in this case. Headlines today is Rishika Barua now joins us live with more information. Rishika, what more can you tell us about this incident? Who's this young lady? Who are these men who were so brutally assaulting her?
Well, Gaurav, the details that we can share with you at this point in time are that this is a girl who is in fact an LLB student. She was working as a manager in a guest house in Meerut. She has in fact leveled the allegations of rape against the owner of that particular guest house. This is a 2-storied guest house which is pretty much in the heart of Meerut. And after she in fact resisted rape, she alleges that there were a group of supporters of this owner of this particular guest house, those 7 to 8 men who in fact beat her with sticks and stones. She was dragged across a certain part of the city. She was stripped and she is at this point in time alleging that she was also raped by the owner of the guest house. And while Gaurav, you pointed out that these 7 men have been detained for questioning by the Meerut police, the main accused, the prime accused, who is in fact the owner of that guest house where this girl worked as a manager, is still absconding. The police are yet to in fact get any details on his whereabouts, and he really, Gaurav, is the prime accused in this case. And once again, like we've been talking about the Rohtak case since the morning, which has outraged everybody, this is another case where a police complaint was in fact registered late. The cops were not.
What is the background? What is the background of these gundas, these men who are so mercilessly thrashing this little girl, this young girl? What is the background of these men? And this is, they have scant regard for the law. They are being filmed, their pictures are being taken, and they're dragging a young lady on the streets of Meerut, so brutally assaulting her. No fear of the law.
Well, absolutely, Gaurav, no fear of the law, because as you can see, these men are dragging that law student who, as I said, is the manager of that guest house. They're dragging her, they stripped her and they beat her in full public view while there were pictures that were in fact being taken. So clearly there is no fear of the law. They've been working with impunity. And to answer the first question that you asked me, who exactly are these 7 men who've been detained? Well, they in fact are supporters of the owner of that guest house, because remember, after this girl allegedly resisted rape by the owner, he was the one who in fact called these men in to beat her up and to drag her on the streets of Meerut to outrage her.
These men need to be nailed. These men, the strictest possible action needs to be taken against them. Headlines today is Amir Haq also joins me with more on this story. Amir, what is disgusting in this is that these men have no fear of the law. Were there policemen present? Did anyone intervene? Take us through the details of this shocking story from Meerut, barely 60 kilometers from Delhi.
Well, absolutely. Gaurav, you see, we've seen over the last many months that crime against women has escalated, by a number of notches out here in Uttar Pradesh, and that is has in fact remained the prime concern out here for the ruling party and the government. And what we have seen in Meerut has been repeated. Just about 6 months ago, we'd seen a similar case, a very sensational case, in fact, where a young woman had to handle a number of goons who were trying to eavesdrop her there. And it's a very similar incident that has been repeated in Meerut this time around. This girl who was working as a manager in this guest house, which also doubled up as an hospital, because this doctor, which has been finally arrested by the police recently, was in fact running a nursing home from the first 2 floors of the building, and then there was on the upper 4 floors a guest house. Now this girl has complained to the police that both the guest house owner as well as the doctor who was running a hospital over there, they both tried to rape her, and in fact it was when she tried to resist that some people present over there clicked pictures of her which are now there outside and up for the viewers to see. It was then that it created a lot of furor. But remember, this incident happened on the 3rd of February. It's been a week since this incident happened, and she'd been running around not just to the local police station but also to the SSP's place, and there was hardly any action taken by the police over there. So finally,
why is this? Why is this the case? Why did the police take no action? Who is this doctor who runs this nursing home? What is his influence? Is he extremely influential? Is he politically connected, this man?
Well, no information of their being politically connected, but absolutely one thing is very clear, that the police took a lot of time to take action, and in fact it was only after a number of students who were studying along with this girl approached the SSP at his office that he finally swung into action, and the police finally registered a case against 7 of these people, these accused, and in fact has now arrested all of them. They've been booked now under stringent action, under stringent sections of IPC, and the SSP has now promised that they will follow up on this case to the best of their ability. But the fact is that justice has been delayed for this girl for over a week now.
Exactly. Why has action not been taken against the SSP of Meerut by the Chief Minister, young Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh? Why has strictest possible action not been taken against the administration in this case? And which once again brings us to the point, we are seeing these pictures on TV today. These pictures must have been circulating in Meerut. Why is it that the police did not take action initially? What is this doctor's clout? Who are these gundas, and what case, what FIR has been registered against these people?
Well, Gaurav, they've been charged under attempt to rape for outraging the modesty of the woman under lesser sections like 323 where it only involves physical assault. But the police now says that since the entire incident has been much highlighted, they will finally take action against, because they've already been arrested, all the accused. They say they'll follow up on the case to the best of their ability. They'll file a good charge sheet against them, and they will ensure that all these accused are brought to book. The only factor missing out here is the fact that the police took a lot of time to act, and that's something which should have been done about a week back has been done now.
That's the point. And look at the impunity, Amir. You've been reporting on this story. Rishika Barua, as a young woman reporter, you've covered incidents like this, and these gundas are emboldened because the administration, the law and order machinery, refuses to take action against them, Rishika.
Well, absolutely, Gaurav. If you piece together this entire story, this young girl, she's a law graduate. She tried to resist rape, and when she did, in fact, try to escape from the clutches of the owner of that guest house, which doubles up as a medical facility, as Amir has been pointing out, she was brutally beaten up, her modesty outraged on the streets. But, Gaurav, if you look closely at these pictures, you will see that there is also a woman who is involved. There are 7 men who have been detained, but there is also a woman who was a part of the group that was in fact dragging that girl, beating her up, tearing her clothes. So that really, to me, is perhaps one of the most shocking aspects of this case, that if you look at these pictures closely, you will see that along with those men who took to the streets, blatantly violating the law with no fear, with absolute impunity, there's also a woman who is in fact involved in dragging that girl, through the streets of Meerut, stripping her and beating her up.
Clearly, this is no country for women. Look at what these pictures tell you. Ranjana Kumari, she's a noted women's rights activist, a lawyer herself. She joins me on the broadcast. Ranjana Kumari, when you look at these pictures of a young law graduate, a young lady being dragged through the streets of Meerut and being assaulted in public, molestation and attempted rape on the streets of Meerut, what goes through your mind, ma'am?
Well, this is really shameful. I want to condemn it in the strongest possible words. This is not something what we are expecting the country to move towards, and one after the other incidents, is really making us all feel and believe that this is becoming very, very difficult as a woman to live in this country and to be able to work as a young professional. This is, this kind of audacity and, openness with which and the courage with which these, I would say, sexual vultures, they're trying to attack women everywhere is not acceptable at all. I think the UP government is really, putting us all to shame, because the way they are allowing all these elements to be at large and attack women everywhere, anywhere, is absolutely very dangerous. It has to stop.
We are living in a sick society, Ranjana Kumari, that is very clear. But what makes our society even worse is the fact that the administration, which has the power to take action, does not take action. If this incident took place on the 1st of February, the young lady had to fight for justice for a week, when this was so open, so blatant on the streets, and not some attempted rape behind closed doors somewhere where it's difficult to perhaps get evidence.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. Look at the way this mindset is working, and also there is no control mechanism at the moment. You don't see police effective. You don't see law and order being strongly enforced in these places. The political class is totally not being held to account. I mean, they're just behaving as if nothing has happened. The MLAs, the MPs, all the elected representatives, the ministers, they come door to door asking for vote. That's what we witnessed recently. But when it comes to this kind of incidents, nowhere they are to be seen. Nobody makes a statement. Nobody goes there to help such families. There's no policing which is, effective. So this is what the plight of women have become slowly in the country. On the one side, these vultures, these predators. On the other side, very weak law enforcement, absolutely insensitive people, and also our representatives are, less said is better, are becoming totally senseless when it comes to such kind of incidents.
Ranjana ji, stay on with me for a moment. I also want to bring in Mamta Sharma of the National Commission for Women. Mamta Sharma, when you look at these pictures, as we are, these pictures just leave you horrified. There are many people on the streets, none dare interfere or intervene when a young woman is being molested on the streets of Meerut, barely 60 kilometers from Delhi.
देखिए, मैं पहले भी कहती थी और अभी भी यही कहूंगी कि इसे सबसे पहला जो स्टेप होना चाहिए नेशनल कमीशन का, कि वो जाएं और इंक्वायरी करें. नंबर 2, मैं हमेशा कहती आई हूँ कि यूपी गवर्नमेंट बहुत इनसेंसिटिव गवर्नमेंट है विमेन सिक्योरिटी को लेके, और गवर्नमेंट कुछ करना नहीं चाहती है. और ये केस एक ऐसा केस है कि जो अपनी इज्जत बचाने के लिए जो लेडी कंटेस्ट कर रही है और प्रोटेस्ट कर रही है, उसको इन लोगों ने इस तरह से किया. मैं सोचती हूँ बहुत ही सीरियस केस है. इस पे गवर्नमेंट को भी स्टेप लेना चाहिए उन लोग के खिलाफ.
इसमें क्या कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए? ममता जी, ये जो तस्वीरें आप देख रही हैं, ये रोंगटे खड़े हो जाते हैं ये सोचकर कि एक महिला को भरे बाजार, सारे बाजार खींचकर भरे बाजार उसकी पिटाई कर रहे हैं, उसके साथ ये बदतमीजी कर रहे हैं. पुलिस के खिलाफ क्या कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए कि पुलिस ने कोई कार्रवाई नहीं की?
एक तो पब्लिक को भी अपना माइंडसेट चेंज करना चाहिए. आफ्टर ऑल एक लेडी की इतनी इज्जत जा रही है और वो लोग खड़े होकर देख रहे हैं. और जो लोग क्रिमिनल हैं, जिन्होंने ये क्राइम किया है, उनके खिलाफ गवर्नमेंट को बहुत स्ट्रिक्ट स्टेप लेना चाहिए. तुरंत अरेस्ट करें और उसके बाद उनके साथ जो भी लॉ, हमारे स्ट्रिंजेंट लॉज बने, उस हिसाब से उनके साथ कार्रवाई हो. मैं सोचती हूँ बहुत ब्रेव लेडी है जिसने प्रोटेस्ट किया अपनी इज्जत बचाने के लिए, बावजूद उसके साथ कुछ भी अच्छा नहीं होना, ये गवर्नमेंट का टोटल फेल्योर है. और नेशनल कमीशन के लिए मैं ये कहूंगी कि नेशनल कमीशन 5-6 महीने से कोई भी किसी भी केस में इंटरफेयर नहीं करना, ये बड़ा अनफॉर्चुनेट पार्ट है. केवल नेशनल कमीशन बना इसलिए है कि वो वुमेन सिक्योरिटी की बात करे, पॉलिसीज की बात करे, लेकिन मैं देख रही हूँ कि बिल्कुल डेड हो गया है नेशनल कमीशन.
Ranjana Kumari also with me on the broadcast. Ranjana Kumari, in this case, what action should be taken against the policemen, and not just some constable or head constable, but perhaps even the senior superintendent of police for failing to supervise effective police action, ma'am?
Actually, because no action is taken against senior police officers, That is why, they don't pay any attention to this issue. That is why they don't think that anything going wrong will affect them in any which way. So they are just sitting tight and not doing anything about it. And also, let me warn the people who are, just being onlookers, who just stand there and don't help the women.
Yes.
I think don't forget, every one of us have a woman in the house. And, this is going to reach everybody's home if we don't stop it here. So please act. If you don't act and don't stop, then really you are not carrying out your social responsibility. I think this is something which has been happening time and again. Time and again we see people.
Stay with me for a moment, ma'am. I also want to bring in Rita Bahuguna Joshi, former state Congress president, a woman leader from the state herself. Rita Bahuguna Joshi, when you see these pictures of what's happening to a young law graduate on the streets of Meerut, your first reaction, ma'am, what goes through your mind?
Well, we're still coming out of the trauma of the criminal act of violence and murder, and which happened in Lucknow, and that she was also a law graduate. She was doing law. Gauri, and in tow of this blatant misuse of male power and trying to beat a girl, dragging her in the streets, making a public exhibition of violence against women is wholly unacceptable. When we have strong laws in domestic violence, how can anybody go out like this? And this reflects the poor law and order situation in UP. How women are most very insecure. They are not being protected. There is no confidence in the women here.
Yes.
And the criminals are not scared at all. They know that they can just get off with anything. It is shocking why there is no fear of law and administration in the state of UP. I'm really worried, and this is not the first time it's happening. This happens, I think, 2-3 times a month in our state.
Which is shocking.
I'm that we live in this state, where people talk of women's empowerment, they talk of women's security.
Yes.
But look at the shabby situation.
Absolutely, and we are horrified because this time it's caught on camera, so brazen on the streets of Meerut, barely 60 kilometers from the national capital in Delhi. Rita Bahuguna Joshi, for the moment, many thanks for joining me. Would also like to thank my colleagues Amir Haq and Rishika Barua.